Good morning, children. Welcome to today's class. Now, yesterday, I realized many of you had problems in seeing the whiteboard. It was a problem, and we shall solve it. So, the same thing I have written it on the board. I will give you time to copy and quickly go over it before we commence today's topic. Okay, so today is a continuation of what we done yesterday. Okay, now if you look, the topic which I done yesterday was the relationship between PU and MU. Kindly note it down, and you can please tell me whether it is visible now. Can one of you please tell me whether it is visible? Anyone put it on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, now we have in a schedule commodity PU which is given in utils, MU also which is given in utils. There are 6 commodities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The total utility, now what is utils? I am revising again for those of you who forgotten. Utils simply means satisfaction. Satisfaction, that is the utility, and utility is measured with a unit. That unit is called utils. So utils identifies or specifies the amount of satisfaction which a commodity gives. So when he is consuming the first commodity, his total satisfaction is 20. When he goes to second, 35, it increases, then it increases to 45, then it increases to 50, then it stays normal 50, and then it starts coming down 45. Now children, if you would see in real life situation also, this law which we will learn later on, the marginal utility diminishing law, it applies on this law of economics. What is it? To calculate MU, which is marginal utility, I had given you a formula. MUN is equal to TUN minus TUN minus 1. In other words, MU for this value 20 minus anything in above? No. So it is 20. Second one, MU's 35 is equal to TUN, that is TUN 35 minus the one above. 35 minus 20 is equal to 15. That's how you get it. Then next third, 45 minus 35, you get 10. 50 minus 45, you get 5. 50 minus 50, you get 0. 45 minus 50 is minus 5. Now look at this, children. Let us take a very practical example to make you understand the relationship. Suppose we are going to the market and we want to buy something to eat. What is the most popular thing you would like to buy? Let's say if you're very hungry, you would go for kachori, samosas, or those of you who like, let's take an example of pani puri. Okay, pani puri. Now what happens when you're very hungry? The first unit which you put into your mouth, you consume. Your satisfaction level is the maximum. You find, wow, it's very tasty. Okay. Second one, your satisfaction increases, but your marginal utility, the marginal utility, as you keep on consuming, you will find that the taste or your satisfaction level starts decreasing. So it decreases from 20 to 15. You still consume. Now the third one gives you a little less satisfaction than what the first one probably gave you. Then the fourth one will give you still less. And if you consume the fifth one, okay, you eat it because for the sake of eating, because you are paying for it, so you are eating it, but it gives you no more satisfaction. And that is the time where you should tell yourself, okay, that's enough for me, let me stop. Because if I eat anymore, I'll only feel sick. And if I feel sick, I'll only want to start bringing up. So in that case, if you do not listen to yourself, if you are not rational, you are an irrational person. मैंने पैसा दिया, let me consume it. Then in that case, what happens? Instead of getting satisfaction, you will get negative satisfaction. You will get negative satisfaction. So this is the law. Okay, and this was the law which I gave you yesterday, the law of diminishing marginal utility. The marginal utility keeps on decreasing as we keep on consuming or increasing the commodity being consumed. Okay, anyway, that we will come to it just now. Now, the same schedule, this is called a schedule, children. Anything given in a numeric table form is called a schedule. This schedule is now converted into a diagram or a graph. You see, we have the x-axis and we have the y-axis. On the x-axis, I have taken all the x commodities. That is the x commodities here, 1, 2, 6. So I've got 1 to 7 over here. On my y-axis, I will plot my TU, total utility. So what is the maximum? We go and go up to 50. What is the least? 20. So anyway, we are taking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now how do we plot this? How do we plot this on the graph? Very simple. The first commodity is X1. 1 gives you 20. So on 20, you will put a point over here. 1 on 20. Second on 35. Second on, this is 35. Third on 45. Somewhere between 40 and 50. Fourth on 50. 5 on 50. 6 on 45. Joining the points and we bring it down to the point of origin, we get our TU curve over here, total utility curve. What do we see in the TU? It is an upward rising curve. It reaches its maximum, stays maximum, and then it starts declining. Now the same thing we show for the MU, keeping this X as X commodity, and on the Y we will take now MU. What is the smallest value of MU? -5. And what is the maximum value? 20. So we can go up to 25, no problem. In 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Same way we will plot it. When X is 1, look here, your MU is 20. Your MU is 20, you put a point here. When 2, it is 35. 2, it is 15. So you come down here. Okay, 15. 3, it is 10. Here, 3, it is 10. 4, it is 5. So 5 is here. 5 is 0 and 6 is -5. So I placed all the points and I joined all the points. What do I get? I get a downward sloping curve. So the MU is a downward sloping curve because what do we see? As commodities are increased, the marginal utility starts decreasing. Now, what is the common point in this? On 5, you reach the maximum 15, and on 5 for MU, you will get 0. So, this point is called the point of satiety or point of saturation, or in other words, point of satisfaction, where it simply means a consumer who is rational. Rational means he is able to take decisions for himself and wise decisions. What would he do when he is at the 5th unit? His total utility is 50 and his marginal utility is 0. He should stop at that point of purchase. Don't go beyond that, because if you go beyond that, what will happen to you? You will get negative satisfaction. And through my example I given you, that you may start wanting to throw up, bring up. I had given you the example of Pani Puri. Take another example of, let's say, something which you all like. Kota, famous for his kachoris. The first kachori you would get maximum satisfaction. because you are hungry enough and you are able to enjoy the thing well. Suppose I ask you have a second one, you will have it, but will it give you the same satisfaction as the first one gave you? No. You are enjoying it, but the satisfaction level will come down. Similarly, when you consume the third, I should take another one. It'll come down still. And on the fifth one, you will say, bus. That's it. I cannot go on. And that is the time you should stop. But if you do not stop, and if we feel, let's be a little more greedy, what happens? Probably we will get a negative satisfaction. Negative means you would want to start bringing up because you are overeaten. Now this is just an example to make you understand what is the marginal utility, how the marginal utility or the level of satisfaction keeps declining as we increase the commodities. Then to sum this up, I had made an explanation box yesterday also, where I showed you whenever your mu is positive, where is mu? From here right up to 0, it is positive. What is happening to TU? TU is rising. Can you see TU is rising? So when mu is positive, your TU is rising. Second, when your mu reaches 0, when your mu reaches 0, what is happening to TU? TU is at its maximum. And when your mu goes into negative, like -5, then that's the time when your TU will start declining, decreasing. This is what we had done yesterday, and unfortunately you were not able to see the board very clearly. The whiteboard was not very visible. You can take time and copy this down just now. Then yesterday we also done the law of diminishing marginal utility, okay, which says that as more and more units of a commodity are consumed, the marginal utility derived by the consumer from the successive or the additional units, they keep going on declining. And this could be another example, numeric example. The marginal utility, as more and more units, as more and more successive units are consumed, the marginal utility keeps declining. And this law was given by H. Gosen, but it was formulated by Alfred Marshall. Until there we had stopped yesterday. Yes or no? So kindly copy this down. I'll get out of the way. So you can copy this down. I'll give you a minute or so. And then we will carry on with the next. Go on with the topic. Quickly copy down. Okay, is it okay? Can we go on? Let's go on. Now the next after this is assumption of the law. Assumption Assumption of the law. Which law? The law of diminishing marginal utility. The first assumption, number one, will be all the units of commodity, all the units of commodity must be same, in all respects, must be the same in all respects. Within the brackets you can write size, color, design, quality, etc. So the first assumption for this law is all the units of the commodity must be the same. Second, the units of commodities the unit of commodity must be standard. What is the meaning of standard in this case? Suitable or adequate. Suitable, adequate. Third, the consumption of the commodity must be continuous, without any time interval. Must be continuous without any time interval. Because if you give a time interval, then what happens? Then you would want to eat or consume more and more. But if you are doing it on a continuous thing, then the law says that as you keep on consuming, your marginal utility will keep on decreasing. Next, fourth, there should be no change in taste, preference, fashion, habit, and income of the consumer. There should be no change in the taste, preferences, fashion, habit, and income of the consumer. Next, the price of the commodity should be constant. During the course of consumption. And the last point, consumer is rational. What is the meaning of rational? Rational is one who likes to maximize his satisfaction. He will not go beyond a certain thing which he knows will not give him satisfaction. He is rational, he is wise, he is prudent. So this law works assuming all these facts which I have given you, that the units must be same, they must be standard, they must be consumed continuously, and there should be no change in the taste. It's not that we started eating something and then suddenly we said, no, now we will go and eat something else. No, then it doesn't work that way. Okay, it should be continuous, and there should be no change in your taste, preferences, habits, or the income of the consumer. And the price of the commodity should also be constant. And the last was, the consumer should be rational. He should be wise, know when to stop. So these are the assumptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility. However, there are certain exceptions of the law. Exceptions to the law. What are these exceptions? Exceptions to the law. Write down. When does this law not work? Number one, the law does not apply to rare commodities, antiques, monuments, ancient documents, etc. So those who are fond of collecting antiques, rare collections, those who are very fond of studying rare monuments, ancient documents, for them this law will not work, because the more they collect, the more satisfaction they get. Okay, so the law will not work in this case. Second, the law also does not apply to classical music, ghazals, etc. Third, the law does not apply to alcoholic drinks. The law does not apply to alcoholic drinks. Fourth, the law is not applicable to miser men. The law is not applicable to miser men. Miser men means those who we call in Hindi kanjus. Okay. Next, the law does not apply when the consumption units are very small. And the last point, the law does not apply for hobbies of collecting coins, stamps, books, CDs, etc. Anything that is collected as a hobby. The law does not apply for hobbies. Otherwise, the law of diminishing marginal utility applies, where the law simply says that as a consumer consumes more and more commodity, the marginal utility derived by the consumer from the successive units, one after the other, goes on declining. In other words, the marginal utility will keep falling. So this was the law of diminishing marginal utility, and the assumptions for the law was all the commodities must be same, the units must be standard, the consumption must be in a continuous manner without any time interval, there must not be any changes in your taste, preferences, etc. The price of the commodity should be constant, not that the prices are all the time changing. The consumer must be rational. And where does this law does not apply? It does not apply to rare commodities, antiques, monuments, ancient documents, because in this case, those who are into collecting antiques, rare commodities, visiting rare monuments, having ancient documents, the more they collect, the more they are satisfied. But here the law does not apply. Second, does not apply to also classical music. You can go on hearing, go on and go on hearing without your satisfaction level ever dropping. Next, does not apply to miser men, those who are miser. Does not apply to alcoholic drinks. Does not apply to those who are in the habit of collecting things as a hobby, like collecting stamps, coins, books, CDs. Even the law does not apply when your consumption units are very, very small. So these are some of the exemptions of the law. Now, till here, we have done. Tomorrow we will do the consumer equilibrium utility approach. There are two approaches. One is the cardinal approach and the second one is the ordinal approach. Remember, the cardinal approach is when you can measure in terms of fixed numbers, cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And when the units are measured in exact units, that is called cardinal utility. And when the utility is expressed as a rank, it is called the ordinal utility. So tomorrow we will take up the topic consumer equilibrium. Which approach? The cardinal approach. Okay.